I discovered your child out on the balcony, so I brought her inside amidst the bitter cold of winter night. A sudden ring of the doorbell startled me. Upon answering it, a police officer stood before me. Confusion clouded my mind. My own daughter lay asleep beside me. Yet there stood the officer, holding a young girl, no more than 5, her lips tinged blue from the chill, shivering uncontrollably. "She's not mine, officer," I protested, but my words seemed to falter against his skepticism. He insisted on taking her to the hospital. The girl's hair was tangled and wild, her clothes tattered and grimy, far from resembling anything cared for. Despite her apparent age, she appeared frail and undernourished. Whose child could she be, and why had fate led her to our balcony? Little did I realize the upheaval this mysterious girl would soon bring into our lives. My name is Janice, a 32-year-old office worker residing on the first floor of an apartment my parents had purchased for us. I live there with my husband, a former classmate from high school, and our 5-year-old daughter, Susie. Both my husband and I work for the same company, but his job often requires him to travel, even on his days off, as he's always ready to lend a hand to his colleagues. On a particularly cold winter night, my husband was away on a business trip, leaving Susie and me home alone. Suddenly, the doorbell pierced the silence. Peering through the doorbell camera, I spotted a police officer standing outside. Confusion gripped me at the sight of this unexpected visitor, but upon opening the door, he uttered words that sent a chill down my spine. "I found your child on the balcony, so I have brought her here." Bewilderment consumed me. My daughter was safe and sound asleep inside the house. "What?" I stammered, my mind racing to comprehend the situation. The officer's expression mirrored my shock, but it was I who felt utterly bewildered. How had a child ended up on our balcony while I was unaware, sound asleep? The officer stood before me with a girl of about 5 years old, her lips trembling with cold, a bluish hue casting shadows on her delicate features. The frosty air hinted at the possibility of snow. "She's not mine. I don't know her," I insisted, but doubt lingered in the officer's eyes even after my words. "Nevertheless, I'm taking her to the hospital," he declared firmly. Moved by the sight of the shivering child, I hurried to fetch a warm blanket from the depths of the room and enveloped her fragile frame within its comforting embrace. Her tiny hands, icy to the touch, clenched with a silent resolve, while her tearful eyes remained stoic, her lips quivering in silence. Her disheveled hair and stained clothes, riddled with holes, bore witness to neglect, hinting at a life marred by hardship. She appeared painfully thin and unnaturally pale, evoking a wave of compassion within me. Who was she? And what cruel twist of fate had led her to our balcony? The questions weighed heavily on my mind, each one accompanied by a pang of empathy for a child of the same age as my own daughter, enduring such suffering. Sleep eluded me that night, consumed by worry for the mysterious girl's well-being. A warning rang out, prompting a call from my husband. "Anything out of the ordinary while I was away?" he inquired. "Actually, yes. There was a peculiar incident involving a young girl on our balcony. The police intervened and took her to the hospital," I replied, taken aback by the unexpected turn of events. "Why didn't you look after her yourself?" he questioned, his tone edged with surprise. "What? She was a stranger. What could I do?" I defended, feeling the weight of his accusation. "But you're a mother too. You could have offered her comfort instead of involving the police," he countered sharply. Confusion clouded my thoughts as his sudden anger caught me off guard. How did he know the girl's age? We hadn't discussed such details. Seeking clarification, I pressed him for answers, but his response lacked coherence. "Actually, she's the daughter of an acquaintance. Her mother is absent, and I felt compelled to help," he admitted, his tone softer now, tinged with remorse. "But yesterday, you seemed intent on taking care of her," I protested, struggling to make sense of his conflicting actions. "Wait, you weren't on a business trip," I exclaimed, my disbelief mounting with each revelation. "You need to explain everything clearly," I demanded, my frustration simmering beneath the surface. Though he offered apologies, I struggled to reconcile his actions with leaving a vulnerable child unattended on our balcony, exposed to the merciless cold. Even if he had dressed her warmly, the risk of harm loomed ominously. "So what's going on? Where are you?" My husband's voice crackled through the phone, claiming he was in the midst of searching for the girl's mother. Yet, a sense of unease gnawed at me. His words felt evasive, as if concealing something deeper. Upon his return from his business trip, he offered vague explanations, retrieved the girl from the police, and unsettlingly left her in my care. Did you locate her mother and her father? I probed, seeking clarity amidst the murky waters of uncertainty. Not yet. As for her father, I'm not sure, he mumbled, his responses lacking conviction. And this acquaintance you mentioned? I pressed, desperation creeping into my voice. Just someone I know casually. Let's leave it at that. I'll be heading out on another business trip soon, he deflected, his words failing to assuage my growing apprehension. Wait a minute, what about the girl? I implored, but my husband brushed aside my concerns, departing without a backward glance, leaving the girl behind in his wake. A sense of foreboding gripped me, propelling me to delve into his belongings, where I stumbled upon something concealed within the inner pocket of his suit. Shock coursed through me as I absorbed its contents, prompting an urgent call to my husband, yet my efforts to reach him proved futile. In the midst of my turmoil, I suddenly became aware of Susie and the little girl, their eyes filled with trepidation as they gazed up at me, waiting for answers. What's your name? I asked gently, sensing Ashley's nervousness as she responded in a timid voice, revealing she was the same age as my daughter, 5 years old. A warm smile graced my lips, but to my surprise, Ashley's initial shock melted into cheerful laughter, her small frame shaking with mirth as she clutched her grumbling stomach. Feeling hungry, huh? I inquired, receiving an eager nod in response. With quick hands, I prepared Hawaiian plate lunches for both my daughter and Ashley, their curious eyes fixed on the unfamiliar meal. Without hesitation, they dove in, their enthusiasm mirrored in the speed at which they devoured the food, leaving their faces adorned with streaks of sauce. As I reached for a tissue to wipe Ashley's face, she recoiled, hands flying to her head in a protective gesture that sent a shiver down my spine, unsettling me in its abruptness. It's okay, sweetie. I'm just going to clean your mouth, I murmured gently, watching relief wash over Ashley's face as she turned toward me. With a soft touch, I wiped away the sauce, prompting her to resume eating her Hawaiian plate with newfound comfort. Once her meal was finished, her expression radiated contentment, signaling it was time to address Ashley's unkempt state. As I began to undress her for a quick shower, a sharp gasp escaped me at the sight before me. What's this? I exclaimed, dismay flooding my heart as I beheld the myriad bruises adorning her delicate skin, each one a silent testament to past pain. Struggling to maintain composure, I led Ashley cheerfully to the bathroom, determined to provide her with the care she deserved. But as I attempted to wash her body, Ashley's words caught me off guard. It's okay, I can do it myself, she asserted, proceeding to douse herself with cold water. Wait, what are you doing? I blurted out, surprised by her actions. Meeting her puzzled gaze, I learned that this was her norm, a routine she had grown accustomed to. My heart ached at the realization that such neglect had become her reality. Quickly intervening, I gently stopped her and washed her entire body with soap, ensuring she was thoroughly cleansed. As warm water cascaded over her, Ashley's murmur of "it's warm" brought a sense of solace to my troubled heart. It became evident that bathing was a rarity for her at home, and when it did occur, it was a simple affair with water alone. The thought that she accepted this as normal without question weighed heavily on me. After the bath, I dressed Ashley in my daughter Susie's clothes and carefully arranged her hair. The transformation was remarkable. Standing side by side, my daughter and Ashley could have easily passed for sisters, a sight that filled me with both joy and sadness. Gazing at my daughter and Ashley, their faces mirroring each other, I couldn't help but smile warmly. Ashley possessed a quiet obedience and gentle demeanor that hinted at a deep longing for affection. She often sought solace by my side, trailing after me as I cooked, gently tugging at the edge of my skirt. At night, she clung to my hand, reluctant to let go as sleep beckoned. Susie, too, embraced Ashley with affection, forging a bond that transcended mere friendship, evolving into a sisterly connection. Days turned into weeks, yet my attempts to reach my husband proved futile. Though Ashley's mother claimed familiarity with him, it wasn't enough to justify caring for a child solely on that basis. Reluctantly, I abandoned hope of contacting my husband and sought assistance from the authorities. With a heavy heart, Ashley was taken to a facility, her tear-filled eyes pleading for reassurance as she was led away. Despite the passage of time, news of my husband remained elusive, prompting a difficult decision. 9 years later, I found myself living with my parents, Susie and Ashley, in our family home. In a heartfelt decision, I had officially adopted Ashley after her time in the facility. Embraced by the love of our family, she flourished, regarded not as an outsider but as a cherished member. As the years unfolded, Susie and Ashley grew up as sisters, their bond deepening with each passing day. Their shared dream of modeling became a reality, gracing the pages of magazines as beautiful junior models, stepping into the glamorous world with confidence. Radiant with joy and fulfillment, they epitomize the essence of thriving and embracing life's opportunities. One day, a familiar yet unexpected sound echoed through our family home, the doorbell. As I opened the door, my gaze met the weary countenance of my ex-husband, Philip, accompanied by a stranger named Joanna. Preferring to avoid confrontation in front of the neighbors, I invited them inside, leading them to the living room where they settled onto the sofa, tension thick in the air. With a suddenness that caught me off guard, Philip spoke, his words carrying a weight of revelation. "In truth, Ashley is my daughter," he confessed, his tone devoid of remorse for his 9 years of absence. Stunned into silence, I could only manage a heavy sigh, my mind reeling with disbelief. "She bears a striking resemblance to you. I had my suspicions," he continued, his gaze unwavering. As I sought clarity, Philip confirmed to Joanna's presence as his current partner, initiating the tale of their tumultuous journey. He recounted how they had met at a bar where Joanna worked part-time, their relationship blossoming despite the knowledge of his marital status. Their affair led to Joanna's pregnancy with Ashley, but Philip's indecision delayed any decisive action. Eventually, Joanna grew weary of the responsibilities of motherhood, abandoning her role and leaving Philip to contemplate the next step, a decision that led him to consider entrusting Ashley's care to me. While Philip's narrative painted a picture of unexpected twists and turns, it was not merely the revelation that left me stunned. There was something more, something that lingered in the air, waiting to be unveiled. "Please give Ashley back to us." My ex-husband suddenly rose from the sofa, his plea tinged with desperation, almost on the brink of tears, accompanied by a profound apology. "What? I happened to see a magazine, and I was surprised. She's thriving, isn't she popular?" he continued, attempting to justify his request. "So what? It's none of your concern," I retorted sharply, taken aback by the audacity of his demand. "But I am Ashley's real mother. You're nothing but an imposter," he countered, his accusation striking a nerve. "How dare you say such a thing after all this time without contacting me?" I shot back, my anger simmering beneath the surface. Philip, who had fallen to his knees, grasped my leg with a pitiful expression. "We're in dire straits, with no money and facing troubles. Ashley is our only hope. Please, give her back," he pleaded desperately. The realization of their intentions hit me like a ton of bricks. "You intend to exploit her for your own gain," I accused, my voice laced with disdain. "Absolutely not. You just want things your way, but I won't allow it," Philip protested vehemently, his desperation turning into defiance. As their exchange unfolded before me, a wave of disbelief washed over me, swiftly followed by a surge of anger at their audacious request. I refused to have any further dealings with these people, not even for a moment. I declared firmly, my resolve unyielding. "And I have more news for you, Philip. Our marriage is officially over," I continued, delivering the final blow. "What?" Philip's shock reverberated through the room. 3 years after your disappearance, I pursued legal action and obtained a divorce," I explained, my tone unwavering. Before Philip could react, the distant sound of a police car drew closer. My parents, witnessing Joanna's aggressive behavior, had alerted the authorities. "The police are here now, so I advise you not to return to this house," I warned sternly, bracing myself for any further confrontation. In a desperate attempt to salvage the situation, Philip resorted to pleading, even offering to relinquish custody of Ashley in exchange for financial assistance. It was a pitiful display, one that only confirmed my decision to sever ties with him for good. As the police intervened and escorted Philip and Joanna away, I resolved to ensure Philip fulfilled his obligations of alimony and child support. Cut off from friends and family, they would likely continue to face hardships. Despite the chaos and upheaval, the once frightened little girl had blossomed into a remarkable young woman. With her by my side, along with the unwavering support of my parents, I looked toward the future with renewed optimism, embracing the dreams that lay ahead.